And do I dream?
This is our last performance in China in 2019, Broadway in China. We're in Shanghai. We have loved it here. We've had a great time on the entire tour. I have been so honored and excited to be performing with one of Broadway's greats, Chuck Wagner, who originated the role of Rapunzel's prince on Broadway in Into the Woods, one of my favorite shows, and I got to see him when I was a child, not quite a child, but when I first moved to New York. And so exciting to be singing opposite him, singing duets in this concert with him. He has many other credits, including doing the Wolf and Cinderella's Prince on the first national tour, and the Jekyll and Hyde on the original national tour. He was the Beast on Broadway for 5 years, as well as the Toronto original company.
I opened the show.
He opened the show, so I could go on and on. Google him, okay? So I'm going to turn it. Hi all, this is our last performance in China in 2019, Broadway in China. We're in Shanghai. We have loved it here. We've had a great time on the entire tour. I have been so honored and excited to be performing with one of Broadway's greats, Chuck Wagner, who originated the role of Rapunzel's prince on Broadway in Into the Woods, one of my favorite shows, and I got to see him when I was a child, not quite a child, but when I first moved to New York. And so exciting to be singing opposite him, singing duets in this concert with him. He has many other credits, including doing the Wolf and Cinderella's Prince on the first national tour, and the Jekyll and Hyde on the original national tour. He was the Beast on Broadway for 5 years, as well as the Toronto original company.
I opened the show.
He opened the show, so I could go on and on. Google him, okay? So I'm going to
Here's Chuck, everybody.
How are you?
So my first question is, how did you get into the business? Usually there's some reason why.
Well, I was lucky. In high school, I had a great teacher that saw some potential in me. I had, up to the 9th grade, I had really not done anything. I kind of came out of my shell. Oh, I'm sorry.
Is how did you get started in the business?
I was lucky I had great teachers in school. When I was in high school, I was cast as probably the world's youngest Henry Higgins in My Fair Lady, and I loved it. I fell in love with the theater. I was also in the band. I also played football. I was also in the choir, and in the choir, we had, I was in the all-state and quad-state choir. I got outstanding male vocalist for all my 3 years, my 9th, 10th, from 10, 11, 12 in high school. I was outstanding male vocalist. And my senior year, I was Billy in Carousel. A talent scout saw me. I did a summer stock production of 1776. And
what
the
role?
Grass Harp. I played Thomas McKean. She said she would have cast me as Jefferson, but I hadn't had any experience.
So young, yeah.
And so I started with Thomas McKean because they said he had to have a Scotch accent. And I said, well, I watch Star Trek. I can give it a shot. And so I did the summer at Jenny Wiley Summer Music Theater in Kentucky. So that got me into equity. And then I transferred, from high school, I started college at the University of Alabama in Tuscaloosa and was welcomed into their theater program. My very first show took me all the way to Washington with the American Collegiate Theater Festival. So then I was already touring, and so I was already hooked on the theater. And then I transferred after 2 years. In the summer, there's a thing called Southeastern Theater Conference.
Oh yes, my students know very well all about that.
Yeah. So through SETC, I got cast as the lead in, the heroic colonist in The Lost Colony, the Outer Banks of North Carolina, which is America's longest running outdoor drama.
That, yes.
Exactly, well you would know in Carolina, and so we're out on the Outer Banks, and I did that for 2 summers.
Okay.
It was directed by the legendary Broadway director Joe Layton.
Oh yes.
And he said, if I'm serious about the business, there's 2 places to go. There's New York or Los Angeles, and there's a beach in Los Angeles, so I auditioned for and was accepted into the department at USC. The day I walked in to class at USC to sign in on the call board, I overheard them say that they needed somebody tall who could sing for this new musical they were doing. This young composer had convinced them to produce his first musical on stage. He was a fellow student. I stuck my head in, I said, excuse me, I can. And so we went to the music hall. I sang for 3 hours around the piano with this composer. And they cast me as the lead in a musical called Christopher. And the composer's name was Frank Wildhorn.
Oh, that.
And so that's how I connected with Frank then. And so we started working on Jekyll and Hyde even back in 1980. And then I was the first Jekyll and Hyde in 1990 at the Alley Theater. And by the time I did the national tour that you mentioned, that was 1999. So by the time Jekyll and Hyde made it to Broadway, I was already the Beast on Broadway. So I've been very lucky in my career. And so, and
well,
you know,
deservedly. Okay. All right. So let me ask you what kind of advice would you have for someone who's thinking about studying theater, majoring in theater?
Well, if you're thinking about following a path to the theater, to me, being an actor in musical theater is like a calling. It's like the priesthood. And if you need to do it, you will know that. But if you're interested in the theater at all, learn everything. Learn costuming, learn lighting, learn this. Everybody's important in the theater, from the box office to promotion to the guys that clean the bathroom in the theater. Everybody is important.
Team.
So it's important to know all the aspects that count. And so, because I have my program was BFA, which technically means Bachelor of Fine Arts, but my teachers even in California said it's pretty much big effing actor. And so you can take that with a grain of salt.
Okay.
But I know you kids are young and that's inappropriate. But you'll learn, that's the other thing you'll learn, that sometimes I can be inappropriate. But I think that it's important to learn, and the more you appreciate, like if you're on stage, you want to be friends with the lighting guy. You want to be friends with the sound guy. You want, because they all make you look better. And all theater is like, acting is just reacting. And the best thing about performing in an ensemble is that each of you makes the other better. So it's like being a dance pas de deux. A lot of times the ballerina gets all the frilly stuff to do, but the core of the support is kind of what I like to think I do as a performer. So I like to try to complement what's on stage. I don't try to dominate. I try to complement.
Okay, one last thing, and I know we have to get ready to go on stage for our last show.
We do.
What about keeping yourself in shape vocally, physically? How important is that?
Well, it's very important.
Because people think, oh, I've trained so many years.
Right.
Do you keep training? Do you keep working? How does that go?
Well, one of the things that I do, and I know that there are a lot of people that don't necessarily agree with this, but I don't drink alcohol, because to me alcohol is an astringent, and it will wreck your voice.
It will dry you out.
It'll dry you out, and so you can either drink tens of gallons of waters to compensate, or you can just avoid it. And as a rule, I just try to avoid it. So that, and obviously, I mean, I could be thinner than I am, but I'm physically very strong. So I try to keep, I take care of myself by doing all the housework that I have to do, the yard work and things like that. So I'm not a kid anymore, and yet I don't feel any different than when I was 18. And even though that I'm a lot closer to the end, and I joke sometimes, I say, not only can I see the light at the end of the tunnel, I'm starting to feel the wind off the other side. But I still feel like a kid on the inside, and as long as I feel that way, I think that will color my perspective. So, and every day, don't ever get burned out on anything. The day you feel like you're tired of something, you should stop it. Because every day's a gift. And if you take it with gratitude and thankfulness for the fact that you've gotten through another day and been given another one, then that will serve you well in life.
Great. All right. Thanks, Chuck Wagner.
All right.
Do your growl. You do your growl.
All right. And when I'm the Beast, I have to do this.
All right. And we're getting...
All right. Here we go.
Okay.